in sync with what they are doing, and precisely they want South-South dialogue, collaboration. And I would say that right now, our country, if you're talking on a global event, is the quincentennial, the 500th anniversary of the circumnavigation of the world, when Magellan went to the Philippines, although he got killed there as part of what we in the third world or developing countries or least developed countries feel as we now commemorate this circumnavigation. And we in the Philippines initiated, together with several Latin American countries like Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, besides Spain, of course, the UNESCO resolution for Dia del Galion. But we would like to celebrate Dia del Galion on a different revisit, because this is where we felt, while there was very positive exchange and the importance of this galleon trip, the connectivity of the different continents, we have to look at it culture-wise on a different look, where we are on an equity platform, not our indigenous culture submerged by colonialism. Now we have to really rediscover, use it as a fountain of inspiration for our new contemporary artistic expressions, which must be relevant in confronting the social ills that we face now, this crazy pandemic, which is aggravated by climate catastrophes, as well as armed conflict and the debacle of our economy. I mean, we're talking of the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's what the Secretary General said, that South-South cooperation is supposed to really actualize the 2030 agenda for SDGs. But we are deepened in poverty, in hunger, in all of the inequities that are occurring, from vaccines to healthcare. It's a very frightening, sad situation. And only, let's say, the substance of collective action, especially South-South, is what they are stressing as probably a strong instrument for inclusive, better recovery in terms of health, in terms of prosperity, in terms of doing the emergency climate action. Now, September is a very important month. It is the month for peace. Everything is on the issue of peace. Right now, you had mentioned about Afghanistan. And the Security Council is going crazy with all of these meetings now. In fact, one of the issues that is being raised, and it has to be a real, let's say, connectivity on the issue of education, particularly on the issue of women and girls, on the issue in Afghanistan, to protect what they have gained, and everybody now is in fear. And what is the humanitarian action for refugees? Refugees not just of conflict, but you saw climate catastrophe. All this sin of coal is now upon us, and they're all in emergency situation. So it is so important that South-South we experienced, we were the first, we're the most vulnerable. And there are resilient action that has been done. There is a definite cleanup. September is cleanup month. There is garbage in the water, garbage on the soil, garbage in the air, causing so much health problems. And we will have more pandemics unless we clean up. So our area of work must be on education, to protect the right of the child to be given this access to develop themselves, because if they are undeveloped, meaning to say the key for unlocking the gridlock of poverty and underdevelopment is education. Now, how are we going to undertake this? And on an exchange, you know, whether you like it or not, and I myself, benefited in studies abroad, meaning to say Europe, America, but there is a great need for linking the dynamism of third world cultures, Asia, Africa, Arab, Latin America. Instead of just thinking Broadway, West End, we must rediscover, I'm not against Broadway songs, really, but we must rediscover the wealth of our indigenous heritage, use it as the inspirational wellspring. Our ancestors had the wisdom to live in harmony with Mother Earth, as well as to have peaceful relations or resolve their conflict, besides their war chants, into peace pipes and rituals. There is always that issue of rapprochement, of reconciliation, and the wisdom of elders. We generally throw the wisdom of the senior citizens. And there's got to be this, the respect for elders is a very third world, or what you call developing country kind of value. You don't throw your mother or your grandmother to whatever, a clinic or a rest house or a hotel like. You have this system of your extended family. There is something to reconcile. We cannot just modernization think of abandoning our traditions, our heritage, our history, and protection of our habitat, and a real value of honesty. We're going crazy because there's corruption happening even in sale of vaccines and etc. Why is there no real training and belief that honesty is still the best policy? Everybody thinks this aggressive ownership of things is what is the standard of well-being. We have to go back to certain traditions, like the indigenous traditions. If we just follow the indigenous tradition of wisdom, that you don't do anything that will harm the youth up to the 7th generation. You think of their welfare. Will it harm them? All these bloody people getting all this money from coal and causing all of this illness and causing all this overheating of the earth and causing all the destruction, the surge, the drought, the floods. For what? And ruin the earth for your great-grandchildren. And then
Cecile,
you don't do anything.
Cecile, I think that you will be quite pleased to hear when Kojo and Ladi address us that the famous Pan-African Heritage World Museum, which they are sponsoring, which Kojo is the chairman and Ladi vice chairman, has exactly placed the relearning of history and giving importance to traditional cultures. You are completely correct. I was born in Europe. and I'm used to a Eurocentric teaching of history and also practicing of culture. And I think it is one of certainly aims of SSEC to basically underscore the tremendous value. And this is what next week's Uzbekistan conference is all about, you know, about the glory of that civilization, which I wouldn't say was unknown, but very much greatly neglected. But I think what we would also like to hear from you, and I know that this is about the time to announce about the change of dates of your great effort in Manila of our Sustainable Development Goals conference from October to December because of the COVID, where we actually hope to have present many of the people who are actually taking part in this seminar, Kojo and Ladi and Saman and Hedva.
Well, we really want to have this interfaith, intercultural event on the SDGs with arts, and Hedva we've worked out an ASEAN participation here, but we have to move it to December, which is, October was good, it was UN month, but December is good, it's UN Human Rights Week, and working with persons with disabilities, with environment, violence against women and children. All the concerns are also in December, and overseas workers, migrants, etc. So we hope that you can really come. We believe that those who are fully vaccinated will be allowed to enter, and as our safety vaccination platform is arrived at, if it's true, they said by November, we would have reached some kind of a safety level of our own vaccination, so that it lessens the transmission, hopefully, and we will still do social distancing. And where it is essential, we will blend it. We will have, but of course, we need very important people to be present, because we want to do our own agenda of action. The SDGs, we will, or they will witness effective cultural communications from different continents. And this is the South-South modeling of what is effective and what we can learn from each other to strengthen our processes and the linkages with public-private partnership. So we do have some government support from our foreign affairs, from the Senate, but it goes into a little difficult time because it's almost election period. So as you know, politics will heat up, but we are trying to say that cultural diplomacy can actually swim away from political intrigues and accomplish what we want: the empowerment of people, the healing of trauma, the provision of effective things in our own languages, because we can't copy the Madison Avenue advertisements and it doesn't reach the common people, the fisher folk, the farmer, the people living in the coastal areas. What we have all suffered, or we have definitely gone through one of the worst storms ever, super monster typhoon. And there were lessons learned. And there will be more of this unless the emergency action happens, and we're reaching that level. If we are not able to push for the collective voice so that leaders will forget their business interests and be concerned about the condition of the people and the welfare of Mother Earth, which is our womb of life. And you know that even if we scream our heads, unless it's a collective force, And we feel that the artists, the teachers, the media leaders can be the conscientizing force. We're not going to use arms and missiles. We're going to use all artistic disciplines, media platforms to convince, to inform, to popularize science, to provide clear-cut agenda of action for the youth, the students, the older people, persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples. All sectors must be dancing together. I mean, we can't be out of step, or we will really face the total destruction of our womb of life. So there is education. I want our panelists to think about education, how we're really going to go for peace. I will tell you, our country has opened up already for Afghan refugees. We have done this before for the Jews in Auschwitz. We have done it for the Vietnamese, and we're doing it for the Afghans as a humanitarian effort, which is so important. I mean, in this stage of calamity, it's got to be caring, it's got to be concern, it's got to be empathy. So hopefully, if we work along these areas on emergency climate action, on peace, on social justice and equity, on education for all, I think those would be the major pillars that we have to push with very vigorous South-South collaboration.
Thank you, Cecile. And as you mentioned culture diplomacy, I was going to turn to Hedva, but before I do that, Dalton is telling me that we can now play the message of Claudia Turbay. So we remember we had technical problems. So can we now have the video of Ambassador Claudia Turbay?
One moment, please.
Dalton, no hay voz. I think I will just have to share her message with you. I don't think for some reason that this is working. So Hedva, can I kindly ask you to tell us about your considerable efforts almost on a weekly basis, which you are doing with your own artistic work, but also with UNESCO as a goodwill ambassador for cultural diplomacy.
Well, I would, hello, everybody. I'm so happy to see you all and to share with you these wonderful moments talking about SSCC with Victor and all my dear friends. Just to tell you that since last time that we had the webinar, and I was moving on with the cultural diplomacy. So I'll give you a report. For instance, in Andorra, I had my art camp, which is gathering artists coming from countries in conflict. And we had about 24 artists. And for the first time, we had with the University of Andorra, a meeting with a conference about cultural diplomacy. And the Director General of UNESCO, she delivered us a wonderful message. And also the previous director, Federico Mayor, who closed our conference, we had the two directors of UNESCO, which was really amazing. It was for the first time, I can tell you. We had a very high level, and also Victor participated. We had very high level people who were talking and explaining their experience, like the head of the cultural diplomacy in Berlin, the director. We had some professor, we have ambassadors, previous ambassadors who was the director of all the Institute of France. So we have very high level people talking about cultural diplomacy. And it was, of course, it was the Minister of Foreign Affairs who is holding it, who is really sponsoring, and he's giving the patronage and doing everything to move on with the cultural diplomacy. I can say that I have a wonderful ally with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Andorra, and she's really behind us. And for her, it's a very important element for diplomacy. And she understood how important is cultural diplomacy to move relations through art. So this was a very big success. And I'm so happy that Cecile, we will do it. We have to work about it, how we will do it in Manila in December for the countries and all the area. It was such a big success, art camp, that the artists are still writing to each other. We have a WhatsApp, and since July, they don't stop writing, working together. So it is really amazing. I can tell you, I wouldn't believe the success of this project. So this project, we continue all over the world. We are going to do it in United Arab Emirates in March. Well, first of all, in December, I hope we will do it with Cecile and Victor in Manila. And this is really, it's important. Really, I understand how important it is. Now I can tell you also of my experience, which is amazing, about the Tree of Peace, how important the tree, and since last night, I understood how important it is. I inaugurated on Sunday a Tree of Peace in the center of a city in the north of France, near the German border. The name is Agno, and it's just in the center of the city. And we had a wonderful inauguration. It's for the 10 years of exchange of interface dialogue, and 200 years of the synagogue of this place. And still people are sitting all around. And this is really what I wanted. This is my aim. Little, Cecile, little gests like this, sitting around, seeing the symbols of the Tree of Peace, talking about it, and it's continuing. The lady called me last night. She saw me interview on the television, and it's really this little acts helping so much. And this is what all about language, about peace, exchanging. And you don't need to be you don't need a big conference to talk how to do peace, how to make peace. You have this little gest, bringing artists together, or you're having this Tree of Peace with all does it mean, and people all around can exchange ideas about peace, and to think how to build the better way for interfaith and intercultural dialogue. So this was this is very recent. It was only on Sunday. The same Tree of Peace I inaugurated in July here in the mairie of the 16th arrondissement. And when I'm passing by, when I see people taking pictures in front of the Tree of Peace, all the wedding asking, you know, to give a luck, the Tree of Peace, all the young couples taking pictures around the Tree of Peace, it's really moving. You see that these gestures are important. So my next one is going to be in a country which is doing many things for interfaith dialogue. And I was invited to Abu Dhabi, and we are going to have in 2 months a big Tree of Peace in Abu Dhabi. So it's also for the interfaith dialogue. They're really exporting interfaith dialogue, which is amazing. And also about I just want to tell about the museum. I had a meeting yesterday of the museum in Ghana that we are really, I had a meeting at UNESCO, and I still, there's a project they show me about another museum in Accra, about another museum, but I said, no, our museum, the Museum for the Heritage, African Heritage, is so important that we have really UNESCO to be behind us. So I promise we will have all to help us from UNESCO. That's for sure. More we have the details, more I can exchange with the people who's taking care of Africa at UNESCO. So, you know, this is also a very important act of cultural diplomacy, you know, keeping the heritage and taking care of the heritage. And if we're talking about heritage, I'm the godmother also. I don't know if I talked to you last time of a program for children, education for children, all over the world. We have 52 schools, and all these children exchanging between them. Last time I was in Limoges, which is a creative city of UNESCO, and the children of Limoges, I saw it in a Zoom, we are exchanging with the children in Syria and talking about their heritage. So this program is to help, and we should do it everywhere. It's to help the children to respect their heritage, exactly what you were talking, Cécile, how important the heritage. So we are doing it with children in 52 schools already in the world. So we can do it also in all over in Africa. We have it in Benin, but we can spread it more, and also in the Philippines, the heritage. And we put in the program also about peace. So the Tree of Peace is also a part of the program, Education for Peace for the Children. But the first thing is the heritage. How important is it? So this program, even in Saudi Arabia, we can do it everywhere in the world, working with children and especially in Africa, working with children for education. And it's, I think, as you said, Cécile, this is essential. This is our base for the future, you know, to give the opportunity for the children, to give the opportunity of the children to work about the patrimony, to learn and to learn and to help them for the future. So, well, it's many programs, it's many projects, and I'm very, very happy to take part of it, and very happy with SSCC to be a part with you all and to continue to move on for cultural diplomacy.
Thank you very much, Hedva. And you mentioned Africa, and we will turn our attention to Africa right now. And I think we will, Abdul Hamid, end with you precisely because of the links between Saudi Arabia and Africa. Ella Gantis has sent us a short video. She said that she will probably be able to be by this time, but maybe we will play that first before we go. Or let us start with Kojo in the hope that Ella appears on the screen in the next 15 minutes. If not, we will simply play her message. Kojo, may I now turn to you? And I see that you had a question which Cecile can answer, but I think I can as well. You asked us for the date of the Manila conference. The dates are globally 1st to the 10th, but the meeting in the Senate, Cecile, I think are 6th and 7th. You know, these are for the VIP session in the Senate of the Philippines. I will, Kojo, and indeed all other colleagues, send you the updated version, although we are going to make some changes to the program. But the dates are now 1st to 10th with a high-level segment on the 6th and 7th.
I think there's something important that we should include here. December 3 is the United Nations Day for Persons with Disabilities. And all the time, the UN cries out for inclusive education, inclusive growth. And so we will have a strong highlight of transforming persons with disabilities as handicapable artists who can contribute to communicating with a strong passion, the message for peace, for sustainable development, for climate action. So this will provide very strong for our other VIPs and other participants to look into the possibility of embracing arts education for the marginalized, and not just the beautiful with the big strong legs and the long arms and the voice, but everybody marginalized can be transformed and empowered through arts education. And that's what we will hope to be witnessed and to become a strong global program when they think of inclusive education.
Thank you very much, Cecile. Can I, Kojo, now kindly ask you, as Africa is so much on my mind, having spent 3 wonderful weeks working with you and Ladi and all other Ghanaian colleagues, could you now update us on the progress on the museum and indeed other things that we intend to do in Ghana and Africa?
You're just muted. You are muted.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ladi. Thank you, Victor. And let me also inform those who are not with you in Accra that we had a great visit with you in Ghana. There are many things that you did that I'm sure you haven't done for the last 50 years. And you recovered your Ghanaian citizenship. And you had great fun. I know that there will be a lot that you report about in connection with the educational fiction drama and the filming that you did in Ghana. But more important, we had the opportunity to discuss South-South cooperation. We had the opportunity to discuss how we can also make the conference in Manila successful, and we committed ourselves to coming. You also told us about the efforts being made by HEFDA to push our agenda at UNESCO, and we had very fruitful deliberations. Just at the time you were leaving, we were also preparing to listen to African heads of state and those in the Caribbean in the September 7th Africa CARICOM conference, which I must say was very, very successful. It was the first time since 1945 that leaders of Ghana and the Caribbean region have met to discuss common interests. And there was passionate appeal for the leaders to have regular annual meetings on 7th of September every year There was also the question of heritage that came up strongly. It was also discussed that we should discuss common heritage amongst ourselves and amongst the rest of humanity to make sure that we all contribute equally towards the attainment of peace in the world. Specifically on our project, we are advancing. The government of Ghana has provided some support that we are using to start construction from the end of September. And so I must say that our timetable still stands. That will complete the construction at the end of 2022, December, and then use the first half of 2023 to bring in artifacts from all over the world. Incidentally, we had a visit from a professor from the Palenqueros, south in Cartagena. And for the first time, I think he himself was so excited to be linked to other professors in Africa, and he had a good visit in Ghana. I'm just confirming that we are very much in touch with all the various cultures around the world, and our project is supporting cultural diplomacy and welcoming. I believe that we will not have to wait for Manila to happen, but if any of you happens to be in Ghana, we will welcome you and introduce you to the rest of our people here. So yes, our project is ongoing, and our fundraising is continuing all over the world. Now that the government of Ghana has given us some little support, we are pushing on. We are making we've put together some events in the United States. I myself am traveling to the US in about a week or two, and we have some fundraising events in Los Angeles and New York. And I don't know when I'm coming to Colombia for a fundraising event, but I can. I believe I believe that Abdul Hamid will organize an event very soon, and I'll be in Saudi Arabia as well. But definitely, our project is going on. We want to bring the world together. We believe that the world needs a new humanity, and I listened to Alvarez quite clearly that there's need for a new humanity to be created, that we are all participants, we are all contributors to this new humanity that is very necessary to be built around all heritages around the world. And we are a better world if we understand and respect each other's values, each other's heritage, each other's civilization. And that is where we are working towards. And we are happy that HEDVA is pushing our agenda at HEDVA.
You can count on me. Yes, you can count on me.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can count on me. I'm very excited about this project because it's all about heritage, and it's so important for us and African heritage. So here I am.
And maybe, Kojo, we can also consider, not we, but you. I can only mention myself as a special advisor to the museum. And of course, HEDVA is a member of the International Board. But it might be an interesting proposal to consider the Tree of Peace in this immense garden that you're going to have as a strong symbol of peace. And I was particularly impressed when we visited the national imam of Ghana, who in a rare sort of demonstration of religious tolerance even celebrated a mass in a Catholic church. And he said that, quoting from Quran, that whilst we are all made different, that God really intended us all to live in peace, and that he was very privileged to live in a country that practices religious tolerance. And when you come to think what is happening elsewhere in Sahel, in Burkina, in Mali, in Niger, in Nigeria, and then further on in East Africa and Mozambique, one realizes how fortunate one is to be in Ghana. So I now wonder whether I could ask Ladi, but I need to introduce him now in a new role since our last meeting, because Ladi is now chairman of our office for the whole of Africa. And I would let him tell you what we plan to do. Kojo, he and I had a coordination meeting in Accra, and I have since had a number of teleconferences with Ladi to plan how to beef up the policy and academic board with more eminent people from Africa, and indeed to plan a program of work. And what I can say at this stage is that we are now in the post-production of the film docufiction Ulysses from Ghana. And that is basically a mixture of a filmed play called Slaves by an eminent Ghanaian playwright, Mohamed Abdallah, and also all sorts of interviews and with actors, with political people who emphasize the connection between Ghana and Africa and its diaspora, because you will all know that the Ghanaian president in 2019 announced the year of return, marking 500 years of departure of slaves from Ghana to Virginia, and that brought 1 million American people of African origin to Ghana, providing them with passports or possibility of a passport, tax breaks, and investment opportunities. And now the president has announced a year beyond return so that the process will actually continue. So we will have the teaser of the film hopefully by the end of September, and I will make sure that you are the first people who are going to get a copy. Ladi, can you kindly tell us what you plan to do for SSCC in the whole of Africa from the office in Accra?
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm really delighted to be part of this group. Yes, you were here and we saw all the opportunities that we can, as an office, do. But I'd like to reiterate again and ask Hedva
Yes.
if I heard all the beautiful things she's doing with the Tree of Peace. And really we would earmark a spot for it in the building that we're about to commence about 70 miles from Accra. But yes, we need to do quite a few. There are few, Victor and I, we keep talking about low-hanging fruits. A number of things that we can do that can actually begin to bring us into this humanity and peace that we're all looking for in Africa. Now, sorry, in the world, sorry. The thing is that the CARICOM and the AU, or the heads of state that were held in September 7th, talked a lot about many of the things that need to be done here that will bring us together. As Kojo said, it's not been since 1945 that we've had a thing. And I understand one of the things they wanted to do was to charge a CARICOM secretariat to produce an MOU that will go along, and we need really to latch ourselves to that CARICOM's MOU that is going to happen. But after the year of return was to celebrate 400 years. As you know, the first slaves landed in a place called Jamestown in Virginia in 1619. So after the year of return, which was 2019, 2 years ago, what next? The government has what it calls the beyond the return. And it so happens that the beyond return of the government, or the ideas that the beyond of the return that the government wants to implement happens to be the things that we are implementing in the Pan-African Heritage World Museum. So the government actually sees our project as one of their key elements in the next 3-4 years that they are in power. But I'd like to talk about 3 things that really motivated me when Cecile was speaking. She spoke about education, which really is the be-all and end-all. Spoke about education, spoke about our ancestors, and then the linkages between the public-private partnership. Because if the cultural diplomacy leads to better understanding, it can then lead to economic emancipation. You cannot actually have economic emancipation when you don't have understanding, and that's where I see our focus and what is going to bring us to the table. The education part, let me tell you, there was a spot here in Accra which was prescribed or was recommended or was thought about as the most dangerous place on earth. This was because all the shipments of electronic components and so forth landed there, and the young kids who are now comprising maybe 60% of the population, that's where they went to try and break down these electronic components into little pieces that they could sell. Happily, the government has tried to remove the site. But if you think that when you buy a fridge or a computer in Europe, you also pay a price for disposal, one wonders why these things end up here in Africa, because they come in container loads and they head straight to that site. And of course, the little children, not having been educated about the dangers of these things, then go there and do these things. Happily, they are being educated. Happily, the government is doing something about it. But education is key, one of our most important things that we need to do. Now, Cecile also talked about our ancestors. I think she was looking for an African proverb. There's an African proverb that says, you don't point at your father's house with your left hand. I know that the left hand is used universally, but most parts of Africa, we prefer to use the right hand. So it's not that I'm saying derogatory, it's just that the African context of the fact that your ancestors, where they come from, that's the most important place where you could learn and enhance your life to achieve the humanity and the peace that will come if you understand how your ancestors lived in peace and harmony. So with that, all I'll say is that someone has summarized very nicely the discussions that were made at that summit. The Prime Minister Motley of Barbados gave an exceedingly powerful speech, which I have it in front of me now, which I can send to you all to digest. But if we can do any of those things, or we can do even half of them in terms of removal of visas for hassle-free travel, double taxation, multi-air services within South-South, all that would help a great deal. And also, if on September 7th, African CARICOM Day can become something of reality, would help to promote our cause.
Victor.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Ladi, for this. And I should also say that what we are doing in Ghana, all of us, Kojo and you, and indeed many other friends and colleagues in Ghana, are supporting Claudia Turbai's strengthening links between South American diaspora, Colombian in particular, and Ghana. And not only in terms of state visit of your president to Colombia, which has now been postponed, but also the twinning arrangement between Accra and Cartagena. And talking about tradition, we should really say, Ladia, that you did a wonderful job as a master of ceremony when we visited the king of the Ga people. And Ga is the tribe, the people who actually live in the capital, Accra. It was a very wonderful ceremony, and I think we are going to include a video which was done by the public relations of the Royal Palace and put it on our website. And now somebody also mentioned the possibility of a festival in celebrating Ghanaian, certainly, and possibly also Colombian music in conjunction with Saudi Arabia. So I think this is now the time to ask Abdul Hamid to tell us about the efforts which he's doing on our behalf in Riyadh.
Thank you, dear Victor. And I extend my appreciation and greetings to all present. I echo the message of Mama Cecile. And I would, with full understanding and full support of the noble objectives that she has, and we are working together to achieve that type of understanding amongst our people, South, and maybe the globe. I also extend my best appreciation to Madame Hedva for her contributions, and I'm happy to know that the Tree of Peace is coming to Abu Dhabi, and hopefully we can also work on the planting of the Tree of Peace in, I would say, Neom or any recommended spot in the kingdom, and I would personally be, along with the SSCC efforts, be ready to work on that soon, as well as to extend the program of culture of heritage awareness with school children. Yes. And it would be a noble project, and I'm with you all to achieve that type of objective. Afwan. Kojo, thank you for your update. And we are with you. We see that the Pan-African Heritage Museum is something that is, of course, is something that is being materialized. It's an ongoing, vivid project as a result of your noble activities and the understanding and efforts of your nation of Ghana. And as discussed with Victor, we are in the process actually of passing every possible support through the diplomatic channels that we are in touch with in the kingdom, to see that Saudi Arabia becomes part of that project and support its ultimate cause. We have discussed, and we are still in discussion with the local authorities on seeding SSCC as a recognized agency or formation in the kingdom. That's a little bit of, there is a lot of processes that has to go in order to license a non-resident or a non-local group to be operational. However, we are also, and we have already met, and we are meeting also next week to extend support to the program that is planned for the festival in Accra of Colombian and African, and we also have a plan to move on to include the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a center for a hopefully to be sponsored a project to have a festivity of South America, Africa, and Asia in a format that may highlight the actual presence of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the hearts and minds of these regions, and also to solidify its being as a nation that extends hand to its neighbors and to the globe. So I thank Victor for having me as a part of this group. I am in, and I do look forward to seeing you all in Manila soon, and hopefully to enjoy the hospitality and the wealth of cultural aspects of our friends in the Philippines.
Thank you very much, Abdul Hamid. And I have to say that I'm extraordinarily grateful for all the things that you're doing for us from Riyadh. I know that bureaucracy is rather slow, but I know that you had a number of meetings, including the director for cultural diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I think that I may mention it also in Uzbekistan, because if I'm not mistaken, you told me that there is a very large Uzbeki community in Saudi Arabia, and that in fact, the director for cultural diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is of Uzbeki origin. Is that correct?
Yes, true. The Uzbek, since the days of the Bolshevik Revolution and the expansion of the controls to the areas of Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Dagestan, and other spaces have migrated. And since they are Muslims, they were heading to Mecca. To the home of Islam, in fear of a uncomfortable situation at home. Especially they were dealing with a very aggressive and very determined force coming from Russia. So they have settled in, of course, and they have settled all along the way. In Iraq, you find them, in Jordan, in Egypt, and some of them are in America and Europe. But the bulk of their community migrated to Mecca, and eventually, since their climate is cold, and they live in a very and they found themselves most situated in the mountains of Saudi Arabia, just near Mecca, about 80 kilometers away, and they have settled there, and they are Saudis. As you know, in September, until 23rd of September of 1932, the kingdom was created officially, and every individual within the borders of Saudi Arabia, whether he was in the kingdom for centuries or only came yesterday, they all were given the opportunity to become nationals, and we have great contribution, not only from Uzbekistan. We have from all over the Islamic nations. We have citizens, and that's something that we have to, and we are in a way cultivating, in expanding the cultural ties between us and the globe. In fact,
very
so
well.
she is Ms. Tankusar is of that origin.
Very well.
And I wish I would accompany you to Uzbekistan. I have great friendship with a very highly reputed. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Well, I will have a bilateral meeting with the Minister of Culture, and I will see what we can actually do in that region. I will certainly mention the interest of of Saudi Arabia. And of course, as far as our African colleagues are concerned, we are all aware of the importance of Africa to Saudi Arabia. In fact, very curiously, you have a deputy minister in Ministry of Foreign Affairs who is in charge of Africa because of the Omani colonial history in East Africa, in Zanzibar, first and foremost, but also in Lamu. And of course, the great impact which Arabic culture has left in East Africa. And the fact, of course, that a large part of the Islamic community, which is run from Saudi Arabia, is actually in Africa, not only in North African countries, but also in many Sahel countries. So I would like now, I think Cecile, did you say that you want to say something? Yes, please.
Yeah, because I'm going to be leaving, but as Kojo was speaking and you've been reporting on this thing, since anyway he's coming to Manila, I should like to put together something, because I have asked the National Museum, our museum, as a partner for an event in the SDG Global Gathering. And we have a section there, not just on heritage, forest, natural history, but it might be interesting for Kojo to connect or twin something. We have a very interesting exhibit place for indigenous weaving, traditional things. And we might open up, since he's coming anyway, and Ladi, to have like a letter of agreement or some idea, or there might be something interesting, even if you don't have the building yet, that you could bring, and we'll put it on exhibit on the indigenous things, work out connectivity with our National Museum to project your plans for your heritage museum. And it could be the pathway for Afro-Asian kind of bridge, you know what I mean, to connect, since anyway, the museum are very good friends of ours, and it is something that if there was something very interesting that you want to connect or display or something, so we do a little event. When we have that event, it will focus Ghana as a doorway to an Afro-Asian connectivity, because we do have a very good museum, meaning to say a triangulated museum for natural science, for heritage, indigenous things, and well, our paintings, our artistic expressions. So when you come, there might be something, I don't know what could catch interest, that will find connectivity. Sometimes tribal weave or decor or whatever, to find a parallelism, so that when we have the lunch or the dinner there, there will be a little event that will focus on Ghana, and you can speak about your plans for the museum. And as I've been telling Victor, our indigenous, our Aborigines really look like exactly like the Basarwa people in the Kalahari Desert. And that's, our historians say that when the land bridges, I mean, they do have that connectivity. I'll ask our historical commission to give me more data, and I can throw it to you, but we could become a pathway for Afro-Asian activities. cultural activities.
Wonderful.
Okay, so then
By the way, I just heard from Saman that she will have to leave us. Cecile, when I
me
come
too,
to,
I have to.
I have to leave. I
when I
have also
come,
Yeah.
to leave.
Me too.
her minister is calling her, and when I come to Manila, we can plan, because I've spent quite a lot of time with Kojo, what might be able to be done together. So I will just sum up by saying that we will now write to all of you and annex the video of Claudia and also of Ella. I will then be back also from Uzbekistan, and I will sum up what we have done there, and then I will write to you and also to our other colleagues who might also be interested to know what we are up to. So I want to thank all of you for participation, and we will continue working together. Thank you very much.
Victor,
Thank
can I
you.
just say something? Can I just say something? Because we should edit this and do a small thing and connect to the office of the South-South, which is based in Bangkok, and say that we did this once it is put up on the 12th in the UN thing with a letter where you give me the names of the people,
I will do that.
etc. So we can have connectivity with them. And I'm glad that Ladi said about education, because the education for girls, she's Pakistani, Malala, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I hope we can invite her. She had a very powerful speech at the Security Council for the education of women and girls that are now being threatened, especially in Afghanistan, but she herself experienced it. And there are other places where there is this restriction because of this crazy pandemic. So if we're going to have, if we can invite her, are you connected with her, Saman? Do you have any connection? But I know that we can ask, she's a very good friend of our friend, Irina
Well, thank
Bokova, so
you.
I could ask.
I think now she is settled abroad, but
Yeah.
definitely she is from Pakistan, and
Yeah.
she speaks very well. I agree.
No, she's excellent. And she's
She's
a Nobel
excellent.
laureate. And she would be a perfect young, dynamic leader to speak on the value of education.
Yeah.
Inclusive
No, I fully agree
education.
with you. But I think now she is like settled abroad, so I'll have to
Yeah,
check
but
it out.
I think we can do it if we ask South-South and if we ask Irina. Irina is a very good
Yep.
friend of Malala, because
Sure.
I was in the UN when Malala was there and Irina was the
Irina Bokova.
director. Yes, yes.
Saman, Irina
Definitely.
Bokova is the former
I'm
Director
talking of-
General of UNESCO.
I beg your pardon?
No, I was just
I know
Saman.
that I can go through a pathway through Malala, through Irina, because I
Yeah,
was
I
in
think
the UN.
It's a fantastic
we
idea. I
had that
think it's a
event.
fantastic idea.
And then maybe if your government likes, you can tell your minister, it will be a good highlight to showcase as a symbol for fighting for education amidst attacks on education, particularly for women and girls. I think that would be a key thing we have to work on, Victor, and well, Ahedva. But I will write a note. But I believe that if we have the UN and UNESCO really supporting this concept of promoting education for all, but inclusive, and education under attack to mitigate it, she is the best symbol to open up minds and conscience.
And Saman, Irina Bokova is the former Director General of UNESCO, as you, I'm sure, know. I'll be in touch with you and send you the material I promised. So thank you very
Hedva, I'll
much.
send you my letter
Please.
just to tell
Okay.
Hedva, because sometimes I'm not able to talk to her.
Okay.
So I'll be sending you a letter,
Okay, darling.
the copy of my letter to Matoko.
Okay,
Okay.
so I have to leave now. You
Me
all
too, I have to go.
You
Salam.
don't have to leave.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Salam,
you.
salam.
Salam,
Thank you.
salam.
Bye-bye,
Bye
bye-bye,
bye.
bye-bye.
Hope to see you
Bye.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye bye.
Salam.
Salam.
bye.
Thank you,
I'll
Victor.
send you also the
Thank
letter,
you all.
Abdul Hamid,
Thank you.
about,
Yes, yes, please. Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
yeah.
All right. And Hedva also.